Yes, Judges.
Hello, Dan. How you doing? You
What are you
all
up to, bro?
I'm actually watching the football, mate. This Surfshark VPN is a lifesaver, mate. You can watch the football with a dodgy Wi-Fi, even at the Emirates when you've got a big crowd there and everything like that, watching the football. Unbelievable.
Easy to set up? Well, it must be if you've done it, mate.
Ah, very, very funny. Even abroad you can watch all your favourite programmes. It's like being at home, mate.
And that's exactly what you guys can do too. Click the link in the description for Surfshark VPN. But I really said that this bench we were gonna see like how good Arteta was in terms of his squad rotation. And he ain't really doing it. He's playing the same team and they're getting tired. And in April, at the most important part of the season, we're knackered. Now, a lot of people were saying to me, Jez, September, October, November time, when I said, I don't really think we're the same Arsenal we're not that fluid. Everyone was saying to me, it's cool. He knows what he's doing. It's so we don't burn out in April. We'll blitz everyone, March, April, May, and we'll win the league. Well, that's not happening. We were blitzing teams, don't get me wrong, right? In March, we were flying, February and March. That's now kind of done and dusted. So I need to see us blitzing teams again, Jez, and I'm worried. I don't think he's really managed this very well at the moment, Mikel Arteta, Jez.
I totally agree with you. I did question this just before Christmas. I was on a channel with Lee and Kenny, and I said, this is going to cost us because Saka back then looked to me that he wasn't on 100%. And when I saw him the other night, when he came on, like he was limping. Now, this is what annoys me with Mikel Arteta, is his arrogance. That he will continue to play players when you clearly got to say, mate, you got to rest. You've got to rest up. I mean, I had a debate about this a couple of 3 weeks ago about what happened with Jurriën Timber, and I got told, oh, these medical staff, they know when it's an ACL injury. And I said, well, how do you know that without doing a scan? How do you know? But, that's a different subject. The thing is, he doesn't trust his bench, Dan.
Yeah.
That is the problem. He doesn't trust them, right? You've got back from injury, Thomas Partey. He could have made a major difference the other night, in my opinion. But the thing is, I just don't think he has the experience to manage a club of this significance. That is my concern. And I know people hate me for saying it, and I respect your comments, fair play. But the fact is, it's my opinion, and if you don't agree, you don't agree. Okay. But, you're not playing people like Smith Rowe, right? Where you could have done, or Reece Nelson. Saka, to me, is burnt out. And he's I'm sorry, we saw it this time last year, exactly the same period of football. Yeah, he went downhill. And we're seeing it again. The guy's done for me, and I wouldn't play him at the weekend because we've got a big game. I wouldn't play him because I just don't think he's the levels at the moment. And that could cost us because you can't keep pushing, people to the end of their limit because at the end of the day, they'll break. He's a young kid, right? He's a young guy. I don't want to see him end his career early because he's been absolutely abused physically. Because we know in every football match, he gets crap kicked out of him. We saw it against Bayern Munich. How long can you put up with that? But to answer your question, mate, is Arteta, in my belief, doesn't trust his bench. And whose fault is that? His fault. Because he didn't strengthen the bench. Right? We all calling for it. A lot of people saying we need to strengthen the bench. We need this, we need that. Right? We didn't do it. And we've got players on that bench which are just not the levels of this football club anymore. Yet you give a new contract, right, to players that really shouldn't be in the club. And that's what I question. That is my big question with Mikel Arteta. And the other night, you could have changed it up. I said it earlier. Why did you bring on Eddie Nketiah? 2-0 down. What do you think he's going to do, man? Score a hat-trick? It's not Sheffield United. you know. And I'm sorry, you know, Mikel Arteta, you've done your best, right? You have done your best, and I respect you for it. But you're not the levels. You proved it. Are we going to win the Premier League? I doubt it. I don't think we will, guys. Liverpool almost handed it to us on a plate last week. It was like, there you go, serve it up for you. And what did we do? Lose to Aston Villa. And tomorrow night is going to be a tricky game. Will he have changed it up, Dan? Will he have changed the squad tomorrow? I doubt it. I very much doubt it.
We're going to find out, man. That's something we're definitely going to find out. Saad, let me bring this up, man, because I think this is a fair question, bruv, right? Teta's Muse has said, is it arrogance or stubbornness, or is he just naive and he hasn't learnt yet? Now, what I would answer that for me personally is that he's actually bought these players and he's kept these players, and we've got them all fit at the moment other than Timber, and he still don't trust them. So I don't really know how to answer this question. Is it arrogant stubbornness for him, or is he just naive still and he's still learning, bro? What's your thoughts?
The thing is with Arteta, he has moments where he shows both of those things. At times he's very arrogant and goes out and puts. If we just look back to last season, FA Cup, Pep goes there with a serious team. He goes there with a team that's lessened. Yeah, I think six starting players were missing. Even this season, there's certain games where you did not need to go that low in regards to taking off as many starters. I fully understand that you're trying to rotate, but at the time, the Brentford game in the FA Cup, I think it was the FA Cup or the League Cup, that we played, managed to get through there and actually get there by a header in the last minute, I believe, from Havertz. But there's sometimes he just shows too much arrogance. Also, the naivety. He is a young manager. He's very naive, and for me, listen, I'm not Arteta out or anything like that, but I need him to learn quickly now, because there's one thing, you're building your team. And I gave him the time because I was like, you know what? You're going to build your team. I'm going to let you build your team. Get rid of the players. Keep whatever players you want, whatever players fit your system, and then do your thing. Yeah. Now that you've gotten us to this position, this is not the position where you can sit here and take time to learn. If you're in title races and you're in Champions League knockout stages, you need to learn very quickly. So his naivety, he needs to start learning very quickly. For me, I just think right now this is a bit of naivety in himself. By playing Saka this long for this many games, I'm really scared for what's going to happen to him later on in his career, because I really see. I don't think a Hazard situation, because I think Hazard didn't really take. He wasn't dedicated to taking care of his body, which I think Saka is a bit more, but. We could still see him finish his career like 29, 30, 31. It really could be bad, because it could be because he's played with injuries. Because like Gunnar King said, like, you get at this time his body was growing. So how many of these injuries, how many of these ankle problems, these Achilles problems, we knew that he had an Achilles problem. Is that going to be a continuous problem where he might have to have surgery? And yeah, I can't lie, man. Arteta right now with the whole Saka situation, playing. I think the Aston Villa game pissed me off the most. I don't know in what mind. Where do you have to be mentally to go back to Havertz in the middle? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. You finally find a position where Havertz is good. Havertz is on form. He's doing very well. All of a sudden, you change it. For what reason? And that is where the arrogance comes out. That is where the arrogance comes out this season, because he thinks he can just go to any game, do whatever he wants. The team's playing well. They'll follow whatever it is and they'll win. Now, fair enough. First half, yeah, we made chances. We created chances. We didn't get them over the line. The second half was embarrassing. How do you lose control like that? It doesn't make sense to me, and he really needs to start learning quick. He needs to relax and take every game seriously. Play the system that's working. If the system that's been working is not working and the players are not working in the positions, you have to be reacting quickly. I mean, I don't know if we're going to talk about the Bayern game in detail, or am I good to
Go
go?
on, keep going. Go on, go.
The Bayern game, it looked like to me that Thomas Tuchel would just wait. If I know, I'm a fan. I'm sitting here in my house, relaxing in my bedroom, and I'm watching the game. I know at 65th minute, right, Trossard and Jesus are coming on. I see them getting up, taking the bibs off. I'm like, wow, how did I know that? Because it's happened the last 5 games. If I know that, Thomas Tuchel's just sitting there like, okay, where's Jesus? Oh, they're coming back from the warm-up. Yeah. Oh, they're getting ready. Okay, they're coming on. I knew that already. It's so
Yeah, it's
predictable.
facts, man. It's facts.
It's so predictable. I think, listen, Arteta, I love the guy, man. I think he's created a very good system. I think he's gotten a lot out of these players and taken them to a level. But this is the time where you have to earn your bread. You're getting paid a lot of money. This is the time where you earn it in the Champions League, in these title races, because it's all good getting to the title race, but that's not where Alex Ferguson won his money or earned his money. That's not where Arsene Wenger, that's not where Pep earns his money. That's not where Klopp earned his money. It's about what you do within that title race in the last 10 games. In the last 10 games, that's the most important part of the title race, because that is where you could win it or lose it within even just a draw. Getting a draw and you're done. You could the other team goes in front of you, they might not lose a game. So I listen, Arteta right now, I still have belief in him. I listen, I think there's 6 games to go. It's going to be very difficult, but yeah, I think he's shown arrogance and naivety in this season, and it really needs to move a bit quicker for me. I need him to learn a bit more quicker. I know it's harsh, but listen, you have to in this position, title races and Champions Leagues. Like I said, that's what just has to happen. Do you know what I mean? It's the top level now. It's elite sport. So
Agree. No, listen, you said a lot of facts there, bro. Particularly the Trossard and Jesus one, man. I'm all for substitutions, but when they're that predictable, come on, man. Elliot, you've sat there quietly, my bro. I want to hear from you now. You were confident going into Bayern. I actually was with Jez. I went for a 1-0 though, not 2-0. I thought we would shithouse a win and put in a defensive masterclass. The defense was there. I mean, the goal was a bit disappointing, but the defense was there for Bayern. Offensively, we were poor. And I think it comes down again to some of these players that just don't look quite right in our front line at the moment. And in midfield, I thought our midfield got swallowed up. Jorginho and Rice again. Lema and Goretzka, too good for us on the night. Again, same as last week at the Emirates. Where are you standing at the moment with this Arteta situation, with how he's managing this squad that is at the moment pretty much fully fit, bro?
Well, it goes to show that he only trusts only a few players, even though there are more to be trusted this year, and he's running them into the ground. And I borrow from Jez in saying that this Saka scenario reminds me of a certain player that we all knew and loved that Arteta played with at one time, and his name was Jack Wilshere. Remember what happened to him?
Mm-hmm.
He crashed and burned, indeed, because he was played too much by our once great manager Arsene Wenger, and took on too many injuries. And all he has to show for it is his time v Barcelona when Arshavin took all the plaudits. And he was named the man of the match. And I don't want to see Saka end up where Wilshere ended up, which was, a great career lost, unfortunately, because of simply because of overplay. And, Arteta, I don't know what it is. He just has a certain amount of trust of certain players, and he will run them into the ground because of it. And we are seen to pay the price for it at the end of the year, and it's unnecessary. It's completely utterly unnecessary when it comes down to it, because Arteta should have been rotating his squad throughout the year to a point where we don't need to be put under stress like this. I mean, you saw Declan Rice on the pitch in a few of these matches, and he's dead on his feet because he's being played to lone as the single pivot. It's it's shameless what Arteta is doing. He's putting square pegs in round holes constantly, and he doesn't put his trust in the full squad, which should have been building throughout the year. I think Saka shouldn't have been playing way less minutes than he has. I think it's 8 players right now that have been playing over 3,000 minutes up till this point. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. A team like Man City aren't in the red like this. Even Liverpool aren't in the red like this, but we are. And it shows the naivete of the matter and the mistrust of the manager. And we have to we have to keep that in mind going forward, because again, who knows if we go back into the transfer market again this summer and the same thing happens again, where next year we're in the same position and he's depending on the same set of players. I've always said that, I did say that Bayern, that Arsenal were going to beat Bayern, but I never realized he was going to. That was on Friday. I never knew he was going to keep burning out these players and lose the trust of, a lot of them at this important segment of the year. And I understand that that trust is earned and certain amount of players earned, but you can't keep playing the same 12, 13 players all the time, because as everybody said here, it's easy to game plan for them. It's very easy to game plan against Arteta these days, because he has a structure. He doesn't want to move away from it. Yeah, he can change tactics from time to time. I think Dubai was the last time he changed tactics, and it got us off to a run. But now it's not as if it stops other teams from game planning against us. Now they've caught up. They've realized what we do. They realize who we use, and it's easy to game plan against us. And we're paying the price. We're paying the brunt of things. So again, I am, I'm weary of Arteta going forward. I think he's done a lot for us, but when it comes down to crunch time against big teams, against big opponents, against big foes, where you need your squad, where you need to have your tactics in place, where you need to have your full team in use, he's not done it. He's not done it, and I think I hope it doesn't cost him a job, but it may just because he relies on too few a squad, and you can't do it at this high level of competition.
Listen, I think you spoke a lot of facts there. Albert, last thing on this before we go into the weekend, and of course 6 games, which are very, very big for Arsenal. You sent this to me, which I think is absolutely key. And I know that's very small for people on the screen, so I appreciate that. I can't blow it up, unfortunately. But look at the amount of minutes here in the Premier League and the Champions League. Saliba and Gabriel, there's no centre-back cover. That means Rice. We have nobody else other than Declan Rice. Now, Thomas Partey's not helped things there, but still, we needed to keep Xhaka and add Declan Rice, not get rid of Xhaka and just bring one in, because we're still the same numbers in midfield now, as has been proven this season. Martin Ødegaard looks absolutely knackered, and the guy's still putting in unbelievable work rate, one that can actually hold his head high over this period of time, in my opinion. Bukayo Saka, we've spoken about. Ben White, we've actually got right back cover, but it's not being utilised because most of it's playing left back at the moment. David Raya, we've mentioned before with the debate with Raya and Ramsdale, which we won't go into. Kai Havertz, of course, has been playing in a number of positions, whether it's wide, up top, in midfield as the attacking number 8. Martinelli, we've mentioned, and then it goes down from there. Zinchenko and Jesus, which I want to touch on very quickly, Albert, because these two at the moment, I was told it was going to be an 8 or 9 out of 10 window when we signed them. Unfortunately, they don't get in our first team at the moment. And Man City didn't use them as first teamers. So for me, we're already, maybe it's a compliment to us, but already these guys are being questioned as to what their future is going to be like at Arsenal. And then the list goes down. But the worrying thing for me there, other than Nwaneri and Timber, who were injured, El Neni and Cedric, who aren't wanted, Reece Nelson, Fabio Vieira and Emil Smith-Rowe, look at the number of minutes that they've played. And this was a signing, 35 million, that we could have got Cole Palmer with, we could have got Maddison with, we could have got Kudus with. And he hasn't played him. Reece Nelson's been kept for 100k. Smith-Rowe, good game against Luton. Haven't seen the kid since. So I have to bring it up, Albert, and I thought it was a really good bit of stats that you told me, man. What's your thoughts on this one, bro? He's got to manage this better, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does, man. I kind of thought it wasn't great in terms of, from you look at it from the naked eye, in terms of the players that haven't been used. But when I saw the tweet from Sam Dean, I was like, you're shooting yourself in the foot, man. You're absolutely shooting yourself in the foot, because quite clearly, even when you mention about the summer window, I wasn't completely bowled over, if I'm going to be honest with you. Because most Arsenal fans said it at the time in terms of sort of bringing in Rice. You've got to bring in Rice and another. That didn't happen. And Arsenal do this a lot. Graham Souness banged on about this a lot when he was sort of on Sky a few years ago now. That Arsenal always a couple of players short where they haven't really addressed it. They're almost kind of ready to go, but they're not really because they've not done the work they need to do in sort of the transfer windows, and that still always kind of seems to be the case with Arsenal, really. In terms of Jesus and Zinchenko, quickly before you kind of move on. With Jesus, and this was an article I saw. I think it was it might have been the midway of last season, and he said, I can't remember I think it might have been the Guardian. I can't remember who the journalist was. It's talking about Jesus. He said he's never going to be your 20-goal a season man, but he's a right fit for Arsenal now at the moment. Now that article was a long time ago now because football moves pretty quickly, but I think we've seen enough of him to know that he's not going to be that guy to get you the goals we need to be challenging at the higher echelons of the league. And to highlight that, I mentioned this at the time we played City away, and you have the pass from Ødegaard into Saka, and I said this very, very clearly on my channel. A top striker in that position gets in front of Akanji and puts Arsenal 1-0 up, or puts the team 1-0 up. That was a prime example. If you wanted a case as an Arsenal fan to say, do we need a striker? Absolutely, we do. And people might go, oh, yeah, but we scored loads and loads of goals in the league. I said, but even when we scored the 31 goals in 7 games, if you ask the question, do you Arsenal need a striker? I wouldn't even hesitate to say, yes, we do. Yeah, it's too important of a position not to get the right profile in or to get a striker in. But quickly about Zinchenko. All I'm going to say, Dan, and I've said it before, people can bring me stats or pie charts, or they can bring me hexagons or the rectangular shape, whatever you want to show me or bring me. For me, he doesn't offer up. I look at Trent, for example, quickly. People talk about his defensive frailties, right? But he gives you so much going forward. I don't think with Zinchenko, he gives us so much going forward that he gets into the team. I don't think he does. I think he slows the play down too much. He congests the central areas of the pitch. To me, he's not street smart enough to know when to drop in and when to drop out. And for me, that's it with him. He doesn't. I'm not saying he doesn't have attributes. He's not technically gifted. That's a separate argument. But if you're talking about in terms of the transition of the team and it being a bit quicker, one, he slows it down, and I don't think he offers us enough going forward to justify him being in the team.
Listen, Zinchenko is a great one because Zinchenko was brought in and was pivotal to us going forward offensively. I'm kind of had enough of him now, watching him defensively. I actually get quite annoyed watching him. It's quite cringeworthy, if I'm honest, watching him try to defend. Jesus, I like him as a footballer, but every single Man City fan that I spoke to when we signed him said, he ain't good number 9 though, mate. That's why we're getting rid of him. He'll be good on the wing for you though. And LB said to me many times, why don't you just play him and Saka on the right and rotate them and go and buy a striker? And I think that is what we might need to do in the summer. But Jez, let's move to this weekend's game because it is a big game against Wolves. I know a lot of people are giving up and thinking like the title might be over, and I believe it probably will be. However, we have to go and win 6 out of 6 if we want to win this title, in my opinion. It starts tomorrow night. What would you do against Wolves tomorrow in terms of rotation? Because I think some of these players look a little bit dead, if I'm honest with you, mate. And Wolves are totally depleted from what I'm hearing. They've got a lot of injury problems. So what would you like to see team-wise tomorrow night, bruv?
Well, to be honest, I think I'd take Rice off, put him on the bench, bring in Partey, because Rice, to me, the last 2 games, Villa, Bayern Munich, has not looked on the money for me, personally. I would either start, as you just said, why not start Jesus out on the right flank? Yeah, put Saka on the bench. He can come on if he needs, but I think it's time to mix it up now. And this is where I question whether Arteta will have the kahunas to do it, because we've seen it. It's the same in, week out, and the substitutions that Elliot said. It's so predictable. You can almost time it. I can almost get my watch and go, yeah, okay, it's 60 minutes and we're going to bring on Trossard. Mate, if you're a top flight manager, you've got to do better than that. And, am I questioning Arteta? Yes, I'm questioning his technical ability, because there's other players you could bring into the fray. You could bring in Smith Rowe, stick him out on the right, stick him on, or Reece Nelson. He came on last season and won us a couple of games. Bangers. Bang. Thank you very much. Please, please, please don't start Nketiah, because that would be an absolute crap show at the end of the day. That guy is done with me. I'm sorry. I never wanted him anyway. But it's time to change it up, Mikhail. I'm sure you're probably watching this show, so please change it up. Change it up. Start maybe Jesus, right? Put Havertz back in the middle, because I think he does a job there. Take Rice off, put Partey in, Odegaard, and go with the defence. Go with Tomiyasu, Gabriel, Saliba, and Ben White, because they work well together, in my opinion. I think we will win tomorrow, Dan. I think we will win. I'm going a positive 3-0. Your other question is, yes, we've got to win every game, because we can't afford. My biggest worry of all of the games is Tottenham away. That's the one, because they are going to be big up for it. They're not going to want us being anywhere close to winning the title, right, at their ground. We've done it twice before, and they're not going to want to see it for a third time. I'm not overly bothered about Man United. I think they're pretty poor. Chelsea could be a stumbling block, but you're right. Every game is a cup final. We've had this now for the last 11 games. Well, 5 games ago, it was cup finals. Will we have to rely on Man City, I beg your pardon, slipping up? Yes. Liverpool, they're going to be up for it. They're out of Europe. Man City are out of Europe. We're out of Europe. So it's all three of us in the mix, all up for the fight. Tomorrow, I'm confident we'll get that win. I'm saying 3-0. But Mikel Arteta, please, you've got to change things up. I really don't want to see Saka start, but I'll be sure he will, because that's the stubbornness of this manager. And not a lot else I can say, mate. We're in it. We're in the race, but unfortunately, we threw it away a little bit last weekend, and it's all in Man City's hands. But we have to just go for it. And if Arteta does it, guys, I'll be the first person, right, sitting here, putting my hands up and say, "Well done, Mikel. You've proved me wrong." Because I notice, people call me out and say, "Oh, you just hate him." I don't hate him. I've never met the man. I don't know him, right? I just don't think he's the level for Arsenal Football Club. He's not experienced enough. He doesn't have the technical nous. And he's got rid of players that I don't think he should have got rid of. Because we haven't replaced them. And that is part is on the back foot. And unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, that's what probably will cost us again.